welcome to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. We have special guests with us today. So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and to talk about this, we have guests here. So would you mind introducing yourselves?
Yes, my name is Johanna Polanco. I am the child and adult bilingual trauma therapist at the Women's Resource Center.
All right.
Thank you. And my name is Hargrove, and I'm the Director of Community Education and Volunteer Services at the Women's Resource Center.
So for those in our community who may not be aware that we have a Women's Center, could you just talk about the Women's Center, what sort of services and programs you offer, if you can, how long the Women's Center has been in Mayapack?
Of course. Yes, so there was a huge movement in the 1970s that ignited this awareness for sexual assault awareness, even though it traces back to the civil rights movements of like talking about domestic violence and sexual assault. The Women's Resource Center was founded in the 1970s, and we're around 44 years old. And we are the Putnam / Northern Westchester Women's Resource Center. And we provide a plethora of services. Johanna, you could tell me a little bit about our services.
So yes, so she was saying this was a transition where women were going back into the workforce, and it began with assisting with resume. It was assertiveness training, building skills, and then we transitioned to domestic violence. They saw more of a need for it during those times, and now we've expanded tremendously. We offer educational services and community outreach, case management, where we are able to help with any assistance to do with living situations, any crisis that's going on, SNAP benefits we're able to assist with. We also have legal services, advocacy. We're able to assist with any type of information with legal services needed. We have adult and child therapy that we offer, support groups for both, for adults and children. We have bilingual speakers. I'm a bilingual trauma therapist there.
Which is good to know, because we do have a growing Latino and Latina population in this town, so that's good to know that that they have that resource as well. And for those who don't know, if someone wants to contact you, there is a certain amount of anonymity. Information will not be given out, because I know that may be a concern for some women or children who are seeking assistance but may not be able to vocalize, or they don't want that need known.
Yes, and also just adding to that, like when you go on the website, there's also options where they can, erase the browser history or exit out or switch over.
I did see that, because I went to visit the site, and I appreciated that there is a quick way to exit out of the browser. Because we have women who have come here who are victims of domestic violence, and that was a big concern about browsing privacy and sort of the assurance that the library itself does not track your browsing history, which is something that I do want to add, where if you come to us, we will never give out your information. We will never track what you are doing. We are a safe space as well. So I did appreciate that. I noticed it when I went to the website, and that was really good. So April this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and something very special that happens on the 26th of this month is Denim Day. So could you talk a bit about how Denim Day started?
Of course. So there was this young girl. This originated in Italy. So there was this young girl, and she was taking driving lessons with her driving instructor, and her driving instructor sexually assaulted her. He was found guilty and was convicted and sentenced, but then he went to appeal, and the case was actually overturned because they found out they said that because her jeans was tight, she must have helped him pull them down, therefore claiming that it was consensual sex and not a sexual assault. So then the Italian Parliament, which consisted of women, they went down to the Supreme Court and they protested in their jeans, and it became headlines all over the world. And an organization called Peace Over Violence, they began to actually develop the day out in San Francisco, California, and from then it was born, and now all over people celebrate through, you know, different ways of support. There is actually a website for it called denimday.org where you can find more information. You could donate, you could buy different things to support as well, and different organizations do different things to commemorate the day.
And just going back to, since April is Sexual Assault Awareness, so what does the Women's Center aim to sort of do during this month? Because I know we want to raise awareness of sexual assault and some of the misconceptions surrounding why sexual assault actually occurs. So if you just, if either would like to just talk more about that, how the Women's Center sort of helps to sort of spread awareness of this issue and sort of what these misconceptions are around sexual assault.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about this. But so we actually partner with the Northern Westchester Hospital. We have a program that's dedicated to, it's called the SAME program, Sexual Assault Nursing Examiners, where if a victim goes down to the hospital, they will be provided a specialty nurse that specializes in it, and we also have advocates through our volunteer programs that go down to the hospital and assist victims and help them through the process. So that's one component of how we educate and provide services as well. The next leg of it is that sometimes we also have support groups where we will have the therapists run a special support group for survivors. We are partnered with our local colleges where we work with them in their programming. So we have some events coming up with PACE Take Back the Night. And we are partnering with our community organizations and with the library. We're going to have one workshop called Kickback.
Self-defense.
Our self-defense, which will happen on the 18th from 3 to 5. And we also have
the Children's Advocacy Center in Putnam. We partner with them, and they're having a pinwheel that's going on. So we always try to partner, I guess, with our local organization to bring awareness between organizations to the community. So we service Mayapack and Brewster, I guess, or North and Westchester. So we try to really, collaborate with a lot of our partnering agencies, just to bring them, cohesiveness to the community.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And April is also Child Abuse Awareness Month, so
yes.
we also acknowledge that as well. And the Child Advocacy Center has some great events. They have their Champions for Children breakfast, which is held at the golf course, and there's some more information about that on their website, I believe. And then they have the pinwheel event, which volunteers can come down on the 31st and get a pinwheel implanted as well.
Wonderful. These are such great things, and I'm so happy that you are here and you're going out into the community and doing these events. They're very important. I just wanted to talk more about another program that I know you do, which is about cyberbullying.
Yes.
Because that is a very big issue, more so than possibly ever, because of the amount of children who are on social media, the amount of social media apps. Could you talk a little bit about that program as well?
Yes, so we do. We hold workshops. We've done it at the Reed Memorial Library in Carmel, where we had parents and children sign up, and we did a whole workshop on cyberbullying, and it's really interactive. It's not just this presentation, but we try to get everyone really hands-on involved, because we've seen the transition from in-person bullying spill over into the cyber world.
Yes.
And it's in cyber world, everyone's anonymous, so it's even more and sometimes you can't even trace it. Some people are so tech savvy that they can build these proxies and the bots and different things that it gets taken too far, and parents are puzzled about what to do, right? So we really want to provide these workshops, and we do give them to the community when requested. And we encourage parents to be involved in you know, finding out what's going on in school, what's the policy when it comes to cyberbullying or bullying just in general. You know, checking in with their kids, having that honest conversation, because it's not going to go away anytime soon. We're getting even more different apps and different ways where people can, you know, control the media. Even with our text messages now, you can unsend something, or you can, you know, send things in privately, or create, like, it's becoming, you know, so much harder to even control the content. So we definitely have to be aware, and we're definitely, you know, fighting for that and trying to, you know, build around that and really educate the community on what they can do, not even just for children, but for adults, because adults are experiencing it too. Like, we call it trolling, right? So you could have this, you could just literally have a picture of a sunshine up there, and someone will say, oh, I hate the color yellow. Why would you post a sunshine? And it because starts to turn negative out of nowhere. You're like, wait, I just posted a little sun. Like, what happened? So it's like we're constantly dealing with our mental health when it comes to cyberbullying, and trying to take care of ourselves.
And what would, like, I know one of the common arguments with regards to cyberbullying is a lot of people say, well, just delete your accounts. If you delete your accounts, well, then you sort of, what are you worrying about? And I admit, when I was very ignorant of this, and I was saying, oh, okay, yeah, just delete the social media accounts and you won't have to worry about it anymore. But how would you address someone who would say, well, it's simple, just delete your accounts, don't go online, and the issue is resolved?
I think the monitoring is very important.
Yeah.
Just, you know, deleting, yes, that is the easier way. But how about creating where a space where parents can now monitor it, and give that child trust, also go in and check. Some of these apps, I think it's Roblox, some of them don't have age restriction, or you don't have to put an age in. Go in there, go in with your child. Let's navigate this together. Let's see what this looks like, and, you know, kind of also go into that world, into monitoring, checking who's there, who are your friends on the social media. I think creating that space, then just saying, like, automatically let's delete the app. But again, some apps, I think they're saying that Roblox, for example, it's one of those apps where it's just been one of those apps where it's very difficult for kids to be in there, because there's so many catfishing. It's been found by the FBI. There's so many statistics around it where just, it's numerous. It's more than a lot of the other apps where they've been checking that there's a lot of more catfishing going on in that application. So I think some it's more monitoring it.
No, like recently the CEO of TikTok, because TikTok has been in the news a lot lately. He actually said for parents who have privacy concerns as well, there's a way to, I think he mentioned that there are like age restrictions, like you can restrict. So basically that was his answer for parents who have privacy concerns, like you can restrict, you know, the age or whatever. But as we know, like when I've signed up for sites, it says, are you 18? So it's like, yes. So it's sort of like,
and they're kids.
So I don't even know how foolproof that is as well, because if it requires that you check off the box, yes, I'm 18 years of age, I could be 12. But I checked off the box.
And I want to add to that, I don't think it's as simple as just like simply like let me unplug, because we've got to a place where social media is literally our life. How many times do you scroll on your phone at night just out of boredom? Like, it's become entwined in us. Right? I think the answer is bullying is bullying, whether it's going to be online or it's going to be in person. So you could disconnect from there and then be bullied in school, right? So you can't run away from it, but what we can do is we can, you know, educate. We could tackle those myths. We can talk about it. We can have the conversation. We can encourage, like you said, the parents, they have to get involved. We have to educate our teens as well to know, and our children, that, you know, this is what bullying looks like, and, you know, provide the therapy and the safe spaces for it to happen, because, you know, that's a layer to another trauma of why people are bullying, right? Why do you feel to go behind the scenes to say these things and put these things out there, right? So we want to educate everyone on both sides so that we get get to a place where it can become more positive. But you know, with anything, there's always going to still be some negative. Because back in the day, we had chat lines, right? Yes. So on the chat line, someone would come in and say something weird or different on AOL in the chat rooms, you know. So it just evolves and it keeps evolving, right? Whether you're face to face, on the phone, on the computer, on an app, it just evolves and turns into a different thing. But it's the same thing, bullying. How do we address those deep concerns and traumas that people experience?
And what are some, if you have like any like success stories of partnerships with schools where at least change was implemented and you saw like some progress, like if you wouldn't mind sharing some of partnerships you've done with schools with regards to bullying?
So right now, so the pandemic happened, so we did, you know, everyone was still coming back. So now we're just rebuilding the program. And like I said, looking at that too, because a lot of things took place online because of the pandemic. So now we're, you know, reassessing. We're going in there to see what happened, you know, how can we, you know, transition kids better, like get them back to where they were. Like, you know, a lot of teachers were even complaining, like, you know, this has had a serious effect on the children, you know, learning from home too, just being in those constant virtual spaces. So now, like I said, we are working hard with our community partners, especially the libraries, because this is a safe space where kids can come after school, right? You know, they're reading, they're studying, they're writing, like it's free. So I believe the work begins, you know, on the ground. And then when we, you know, school is different. They have that curriculum, you know, with, you know, the heightened security too. It's hard sometimes to be in the schools because of the heightened security and, you know, some of the, you know, taboo topics that parents aren't ready to address, and you have to, you know, go through those different codes and things like that to just, you know, clear that. But when we do go and we do partner and we do talk about it and we do, you know, constantly try to just encourage, but I think, you know, we just try to build piece by piece and try to get, you know, not just the parents, just the children, the community, because if we're all educated, then we're stronger. We can stand stronger and fight it.
And I want to touch on something that was mentioned earlier, like when the Women's Center was first started, women entering the workforce. I kind of recall, like, especially during the pandemic, that domestic violence issues actually rose because couples were home more. So did you like notice like around the pandemic time that there were more women come in saying, I need your help, because of the fact that they could not go anywhere during the pandemic? So they were essentially with their partners for the majority of the day, because I do recall reading how these domestic were actually on the rise because couples were with each other 24/7. In some countries it was even worse with the restrictions going on. So like, did you notice that as well, like during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was both for adults and children.
Okay.
Now we had children that were coming in, not just for, you know, social anxiety was a big one that was coming in.
Oh, yeah.
We saw influx too with people coming in with immigration. You know, from just, it was so many, it was just a high rise of not just women, we saw it all across, right? Even we had a increase of men that were coming in. Yes, it was an increase in men, so we had, it was a variety.
Yes, I would agree. And it, you know, and it was, you know, we were essential workers because we still had to be, you know, we have our 24-hour hotline, and we have a shelter as well, that we provide shelter, and other domestic violence centers also provide that. So, you know, just that around the clock, and also try to abide by the, you know, the state and the city and the national guidelines, and working within those parameters, and not just us seeing it, you know, firsthand, but now other parties seeing it. So the school witnessing these violent acts, like there was a, you know, story in the news where they saw a parent literally shoot another parent live on, you know, camera. So it was these horrific things happening in this virtual space that no one would know. It was behind closed doors, you know, but you could cover it up more. But now it was entering not just their home, but spilling over into everyone's home, because it was so, you know, that virtual open door. So it definitely, you know, was a rise, and it was like, okay, now this, you know, we're ringing the alarm, like, please, we need your attention, we need the help, we need the services. Therapy increased. I can't even tell you probably what the number was. So many people, were in need of therapy all around for, different reasons. But that virtual option being a good,
that was good
space for people to be able to, that never before maybe would have considered therapy, now having, if they, did have that safe space to do it at home or somewhere where they could be virtual, offered another.
And do you still offer virtual therapy sessions?
Yes. So what's good is that there's such a variety of times. So we have both daytime and we have evening hours.
Okay.
So it just makes it more available to those parents that are working or, just can't come in. For both children and adults, we offer it.
And I'm glad that you also mentioned men, because although it's true it's known as the Women's Center, I just want to know, men who are experiencing domestic violence, they are welcome to reach out to you as well. I kind of feel like a lot of times men get forgotten in this issue, so it's good to know that this resource is also accessible for men who are experiencing domestic violence or are just in need to reach out to someone. I mean, these past few years haven't been easy on anyone, frankly.
Yes.
No.
So I am glad to know that men are also welcome, because especially in this county, there is a lack of resources, so to speak. So it is good to know that men have that option as well.
Yes.
So like I'm very happy about that too, because I feel like men kind of get forgotten, but they do suffer from domestic violence as well.
And we know that men too,
Yeah.
just want to make it out there. This is all truly 100% confidential.
Okay.
I know that many people are worried because of a status or work, or they don't want to get disclosed, but this is all confidential. So we are definitely, doors are open for men, women, and children.
Yes.
Okay.
And we work. We also work with our specialized population, the LGBTQ.
Yes.
Those dealing with undocumented.
Okay.
There's also people don't talk about with the senior citizens and the abuse. There was an uptick in with the scam calls, where a lot of the elderly were getting scammed out of their money and things like that as well, or just having someone be a caregiver and experiencing that. So we work with anyone that's a victim of violence, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, financial, and some people don't feel like if it's only physical then it counts as domestic violence, but there are so many different ways people can experience domestic violence. So we definitely want, if you don't feel like you're in a healthy relationship and it doesn't feel good to you, you can always call. You can ask. It doesn't hurt to just ask if you don't feel comfortable in the relationship that you're in, or your family dynamics or situation as well.
And I think it's also important too, because a lot of times if it's unseen, well, it's not experienced, and there are, as you mentioned, various forms of abuse that occur. I know most people, when they think domestic violence, they're associated with the physicality of domestic violence. But there's mental, there's emotional abuse, there's financial abuse. There's all these facets that people may not be aware of. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, because those are forms of abuse. It's heartbreaking that it occurs, but I'm glad in many ways that we are moving towards a point where people can express these concerns. There are resources. We're at a time there may not have been very many resources for people experiencing these issues. And I want to know, do you also have you partnered with the high school and middle school at all with some programs?
Yes, we were just at the Mayopac Middle School Health Fair. They had a health fair. That was wonderful. We saw all the community partners come out and provide information. They are also working on the Pinwheel project as well, that we talked about with the CAC. So we work with, Mayopac, Carmel schools, any schools within our encatchment from Putnam to Northern Westchester that reach out to us, or we reach out to them and they want to partner. We are more than willing to do different projects.
As well as the college's PACE you've been working with.
Yes, we will work with the college's PACE University and Westchester Community College. We have done phenomenal work with them. We've done a lot of tabling events, and like I said, they have their events coming up with Take Back the Night and different things that address some of the issues, like we've done the clothesline project in the past. We've done the red flag campaign with them. So, you know, we try to, you know, start in the, you know, as early as we can, and definitely go up to higher education.
Could you talk more about the Take Back the Night and the Clothesline project?
Yes. So the Take Back the Night is the colleges usually, they, you know, reserve a day, and then, you know, they walk around the campus with their posters protesting and, you know, stand in solidarity with victims of sexual violence. So they'll do that and have different, they may have lectures or different workshops to discuss that. And the clothesline project is, you know, they would put up a clothesline and they would hang different types of clothes where people would talk about, because some people think that, again, it's about what you wear. It's your fault, victim blaming, victim shaming, like, oh, as we talk about the jeans, like, you were wearing tight jeans, you were wearing a mini skirt, but as we know with you know, sexual violence, it could happen whatever you're wearing or whatever you're doing. You know, it's not the victim's fault. We don't want to victim blame. So definitely.
Yeah, it's going back to even about the clothing. When I talk a lot to my colleagues, I feel like sexual assault is one of the few crimes where clothing can actually be used as an excuse. I mean, if you're mugged, no one says, well, were you holding your wallet? Yes. Or, like, was your wallet exposed? It's
what time of night were you out walking around?
But sexual assault is almost like it's, well, what were you wearing? What was your hair like? Well, did you look in a certain way? It's
who were you with?
Exactly, and it's really difficult because, like, even in talking, because I have family members that experienced assault, so it's really, it boggles the mind how clothing can have anything to do. When you think about how there are elderly people that are sexually assaulted, there are children who are sexually assaulted. So it's like, in that case, well, how does clothing become a justifiable excuse at all in cases like this? Yes. So, and it's unfortunate that even to this day, it is still used as an excuse to justify any kind of sexual violence against anyone.
Yeah, and that's the mind frame we have to get out, right? Because if you traumatizes a victim,
exactly,
that's when someone becomes self-blaming on themselves. That, did I do this? Was it because of me? So I think if we bring more awareness to this community, start to think outside of that. So it's a way, you know, of us saying, like, clothes, this is, you know, it was in the clothes. The clothes is not who to blame. There's a bigger problem, who to blame.
And that was something on social media. Something on social media was Ciara. She wore, I believe it was one of the award shows. She had like this see-through gown on. And there was an uproar on social media about it. They were like, she's a wife, she shouldn't be wearing that. And if she was my wife, she wouldn't be doing that. And it's just becomes, like I said, like this oppressiveness against women and what they wear and what they should and should not be wearing, and especially if you're married or not, you know, it becomes these different levels. And it says, well, if anything happens to her, then that's okay because she was wearing that, and that's not okay. And we want to talk, and that's where that cyberbullying comes in. Like, she receives so many messages.
Well, it's, you know, you even think about many of the high-profile cases within the last few years of women who were simply, there was this high-profile one in India where a woman was on the bus with a male friend going to move in. She was raped on the bus and later died as a result of it. And men basically saying, well, if she wasn't out late at night, that would not have happened. So the complete brutality of the act was cast aside, and the men were painted as well. You know, so it is heartbreaking. I remember I was watching this program, I believe it also was on a college campus, and they were showing the clothes. So one woman was her army uniform. One girl was like, this was the dress I was wearing when I was 5 years old, and I was never able to look at it again. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the trauma can go beyond the initial assault. And many victims, the psychological effects that it has on them, the emotional impact it has on many victims. And even when you think about giving an impact statement, how you relive that trauma, you relive that experience. And I think a lot of people don't know it's not always easy to immediately say this is what happened. And there is that element of shock where a lot of women just shut down and they can't even process what has occurred. So I think raising that awareness too, where it's the notion, well, you know, get it done as, it's like sometimes as soon as you can, you know, put your clothing aside. And I know that these are well-meaning things, but sometimes I think about it, well, if it happened to me, would I be thinking, let me gather my clothes, you know, let me bring it as evidence? And it's unfortunate, because you get that feeling, well, you know, you washed your clothing, now that evidence is gone, you know, and it's just layer upon layer of more violence that is being done to victims. So it's just a good thing that we are doing these programs, that the Women's Center is here, because victims need to know that they are supported, that they have value, that it's not their fault, and that in many ways they can sort of reclaim their power, reclaim their lives, and move forward. You know, it may take a while, but it is possible, and I think that's very important to know for all victims, that, you know, there's resources, you know, you are valued, you are cared for, and you are supported.
Yeah, yes, we're here for that journey, like for that healing journey. And you're right, it's, you know, it's something that may never heal, but we're here to show, you know, some coping strategies, some techniques to just help you through life, because life in itself is difficult, and just adding more to it. Everyone just always needs some tools to have. So,
and we also have our support group for DV that meets on Tuesdays.
Yes, 6:30 to 8.
Okay.
And everything is free, confidential. Walk in.
Just no registration required. So we have these tools and resources, and we really want to serve the community. We want to educate, which we believe that will, you know, start the conversation and trickle down to get these important issues out there.
So thank you both for coming here. Thank you so much for coming here, for partnering with us. The programs that will be happening at the library, they will be on the calendar. Thank you so much. Thank you for being this wonderful resource in our community. And the number and information for the Women's Center will be posted at the end of this video. So again, if you are someone who is struggling, the Women's Center is here. Reach out to them. It is anonymous. Your information will not be given out, and you are supported, you are valued, you are loved, and you're never alone. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.